Welcome to the Podunk Polymath, a podcast dedicated to the sentiments of a secular, sarcastic, screwed-up Southern SJW and skeptic. This is Charone from the Habeas Humor Podcast. Come on in.
This is episode 45 of the Podunk Polymath Podcast. Thanks again for joining me. Hope you had a spectacular weekend. Of course, this week's intro was read by Charone Frankel of Habeas Humor Podcast, who is also going to be the guest for the palaver this week. Ooh, special. So I'm going to talk this week on the palaver about Pride, which I went to yesterday. First of all, I wanted to say I picked up Tucker from Atheist in the Trailer Park and met up with Jen and her friend, AJ. Of course, Jen's from Not Another Atheist podcast. And we ate at IHOP, and then we headed on down there. And it was pretty cool. We got to meet up with some people, check out the tents and stuff. Although, I gotta be honest, there were some good tents, like the Human Rights HRC, and then there was like Flag and other organizations. But there was way too many corporate fucking tents for me. Maybe I'm just jaded. I don't know. But it turned out to be a really nice day, but kind of hot, and I didn't expect it. And I'll get back to that because... So anyway, we checked that out. Then we went down to look at the parade. We were a little later than we should have been, so we missed the first part of it, which kind of sucks because our friend Carla, was there and we missed her. So kind of pissed off about that. And she was too tired to come out later, so we didn't see her that night, which kind of sucked even more. But anyway, we watched the parade. It was kind of cool. I tried to take some Facebook Live video, but the connection was shitty, and I didn't get very good video off of it. I did get some good pictures. I was standing next to one of those fucking preachers because they were out there talking about how, homosexuality is a sin. Pretty much as everybody was ignoring them, but there was some gay dude just trying to argue with them. I'm like, why are you even bothering? No, you're not going to do anything. Anyway, there was that. And we watched the parade, and it was really colorful, really, really pretty. A lot of colorful people. I mean, there's just all kinds of diversity, all kinds of everything. It was just so much going on. It was a lot. You like trying to turn your head and look at everything. It was just so much color. And of course, I don't get out much anyway, and so, I have to take advantage of what I can. So I take pictures and videos, and because my memory's so bad that I forget things anyway. So we watched the parade, then we ended up going back to the main plaza, the public square or whatever, which is where all the tents were. And we wandered around there for a bit. Then we went into that where all the tents were. And then there was a big stage up front. And they played some music. I wasn't really paying attention that much. But anyway, the thing about public square is there's no trees anywhere. Except in the very back, there's some trees. But the vast majority of it, there's no trees, no shade at all. They had these little tents set up where you could, well, not tents, they were umbrellas, you could stand under. So I got hotter than I thought I would. I had too much coffee that morning and didn't have any water, so I had like a minor heat, whatever. I started feeling nauseous. I had to sit down for a while under a tree, drink some water, and basically just sit there with my head between my legs for a while because I just got overheated. It didn't last forever, but it was kind of annoying. So anyway, finally, Jen was sitting there with me, gave me some of her water. I was super nice of her. We wandered around some more. I mean, it was just basically me wandering around and looking at things, looking at people, looking at the tents. And like I said, they had some cool tents. And then we finally just left because, there's only so much you can really see. One thing is there wasn't that many, performances by, people, I guess. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like choruses maybe, or drag shows. I don't know, something interesting. There wasn't really much of that. It was just a bunch of cool people, but no real performances. But anyway, we walked down Dedrick. Now, there were some booths down there that were like craft related. There was crafts people made and stuff, so that was a little more interesting to me. And of course, there's still booths about, organizations, so that wasn't as corporate, so that was more interesting to me. So we walked down there, then I took them to a place they didn't know about. Well, Jen and AJ didn't know about this pizza place down there called Caesars. Had lunch there, it was really good. Then from there, I went home to take a nap, had to leave, dropped off Tucker at the Lane Motor Museum, And I overslept more than I should have. He was like, "Where the fuck are you?" Because he ended up walking down to Zahn's. It's just like a good little walk, which is a little brewery bar thing down there around downtown. So I finally met up with him there, had a beer, waited for AJ and Jen to get out from their fancy schmancy dinner. They showed up all dressed up, and we were looking like, pretty bad, just t-shirts and jeans. So then we ended up going to the Play Bar, which is a gay bar, I guess you could call it. I don't know if that's even really whatever you want to call it, LGBT bar maybe. I don't know, but I'd never been there. Really colorful, lots of there's a drag show, lots of cool people, lots of interesting people, loud as fuck. Well, at least for the drag show part, then everybody kind of left. One of her friends was there, and so that's why we went, and I got a picture with her. So yeah, well, it was interesting. Got a little crowded for my taste for a little while during that show, but they kind of got out pretty quick after that. We hung out some more, had a couple of drinks, and it was interesting. Not much else to say about that, I guess. Got hit on by somebody, but I didn't know what to do with myself, so it didn't work. Because she was too attractive, and I don't have much self-confidence anymore. Anyway, so that was pretty much it. I took them to their hotel, took Tucker home, drove back here to my mom's, and it was fun. Verdict, it could have been a little better. I don't know. One more show. I mean, the people themselves are awesome, and the feeling of unity and joy and all that, and happiness, people wandering around just being crazy. I mean, that was fun. That part was fine. It was just I thought the organizing could have been a little bit better, maybe. More stuff, I guess. I don't know. Instead of so many fucking worrying about tents and shit. Some cool shows or something. I don't know. That was my first experience at a Pride, and I was glad to be a part of it, except for the heat stroke part. It was fun. So I recommend, I'm sure many of my friends went to their respective Prides in their respective cities. I know the Crails went to one in Cincinnati, as did Adam Collins. Callie, I think, was there. There's a bunch of other ones. I think there was one in Minnesota that Amy and Marissa went to. Maybe, I know Marissa wouldn't enjoy it too much. Too many people, too many misgenderings, which I can understand. You want to go to something like that and hope that you're going. That's the one place you would hope that you wouldn't have that problem. But, people are people. What can you do? So anyway, yeah, I've rambled long enough about that. On the palaver, as I said earlier, we're going to have Charone on, who also read the intro. We're going to talk about voter suppression and other things that were kind of funny because, well, we're funny people. So I hope you enjoy the rest of the show, and we'll move on to the palaver.
Have you heard the Habeas Humor Podcast? It's a new legal show with lots of thoughtful analysis.
That must have been like a desert fart of dry excitement.
Famous politicians, or at least people who went to school with them.
And then she says, "Have you met Barack Obama?" And I'm asking, who the heck is Shakalama?
And legal tips. You can still be rapey if your dick doesn't work, the more you know. Disney can't sue me if I don't sing it. HABEASHUMOR.
Has In God We Trust invaded your town? Are you tired of government officials who want to plaster In God We Trust on taxpayer-owned property? Are you afraid because your local sheriff placed an In God We Trust decal on the patrol cars? We are here to help. The Original Motto Project is for those who feel the separation of church and state is an important issue and should be honored regardless of your belief or lack thereof. Theists, non-theists, and all free thinkers are welcome. We need your support to show politicians that diversity exists within our nation, and their promotion of a monotheistic religion and push for theocracy will not be tolerated. Stand up and be heard. Join us at originalmotto.us.
Welcome to another edition of Palaver here in the Podunk Polymath Podcast. This week I have somebody on that dodged me at ReasonCon. She is host of Habeas Humor. She is sexier than Andrew Torres and funnier as well. If I can introduce to you Charone Frankel. How's it going, Charone?
Hey, Hey! Oh, no, you found me. I was trying to hide.
Yeah, we just found out that we were both at ReasonCon and somehow we missed each other. I'm not sure how you miss a 6'2" guy with a red beard, a huge red beard, but okay.
That was everybody there.
That's true. I had a Predators jersey, bright yellow Predators jersey, so I don't know how you missed that.
Predators. Is that a team of some kind of...
Okay, and we're moving on. You live in Jersey, you know what hockey is? Come on.
All I know about hockey is that there is something called the Rangers, and they play in a stadium right directly above Penn Station, and they take up all the fucking space on the train for like 11 months out of the year, and all the space in the goddamn parking lot.
Okay, so I see there's a little bitterness there. We'll go ahead and leave that alone. There's the Devils, New Jersey Devils.
Are they still? I thought they... do they still play?
Yes, they still play. Yeah.
Oh, because I never see them.
Don't they?
I don't know, but everyone from Jersey is always going to the goddamn Rangers game.
Well, it's because there's different parts of Jersey. I don't know. Maybe your part's going there and another part's going the other.
Well, no, because the train station I go to in Secaucus is in the Meadowlands. And people go from there and they take the train to Madison Square Garden and they go watch the Rangers.
Okay, now you've got me curious.
Now we have to Google whether there's still New Jersey Rangers or New Jersey Devils. There is the Jersey Devil, which is supposed to be still running around in the Pine Barrens.
Yeah, well, that's what the team's named after. But anyway, okay, so Charone, you have a show that's fairly good. First of all, I want to mention how I found out about your show.
Ooh.
So there I was, just minding my own business on Twitter. And I get this message from a desperate lady talking about wanting me to review her show.
Yes.
And it was called Habeas Humor. I'm like, what the hell is this shit? So I'm like, okay, I guess I will. Of course, I had to listen to it first, So I listened to it, and it was pretty funny. I didn't know anything about you before. I don't know how I missed it. Maybe it's because I'm not cool enough yet. I have to get up in the coolness scale.
Well, apparently you snubbed me at ReasonCon. That was
what
that was about.
You snubbed me. You were pulling some kind of midget ninja shit. I don't know what was going on.
Well, there are people who think that I am just an auto-tuned version of Andrew Torres. That there has been a rumor.
I don't know what's going on, but something's going on. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, because I saw Andrew Torres, but I didn't see you. I'll just leave it at that.
People claim to have seen us in the same place. Like you had said, there doesn't seem to be any photographic evidence. I can't remember if I've ever taken a picture with Andrew. So maybe I am him. Maybe it's Fight Club and I don't even know I'm him.
Wow, that's meta. Anyway. So, yeah, you messaged me on Twitter and wanted to do a review exchange, which is actually the first time anybody's asked me to do that.
Really?
I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, that's the only way I get any goddamn reviews for my show.
Oh, please, you have twice as many as I do already. You've only, what?
Yeah, because I had to fucking ask people and listen to their crappy shows.
Okay,
Cut
now
that
we
out.
see.
Cut that out.
Now, new. That includes me when you put that in there.
No, some people have good shows, but some people have horrible shows. Some people have shows where it's like, I'm going to talk about, I'm going to just list my high scores from when I played fucking Donkey Kong in 1983.
Oh, no. No. That's fine. They need to be called out for that shit. That's ridiculous. Yeah. So now you messaged me. I was like, okay, I got to go listen. And I really liked it because it was a combination of humor and kind of a cases. I don't know what you would, I can never, what is it? Cases? Law?
Yeah, law, legal. Well, it's hard. It is hard because, like, if I use the word legal, then it could mean that I just mean the opposite of illegal.
Well, for some reason I was thinking, court cases and stuff like that. It's not necessarily that. It's just stories, funny stories or, unique stories sometimes, most of the time that have something to do with have a legal aspect to it.
Yeah, well, it's kind of whatever is interesting because I am an attorney and, so I like to take things from current legal news if there's something and that I can mix it with some humor because I get bored easily. I can bore myself to sleep if all I'm doing is talking about the law. So So yeah, the show is still, it's like 12 episodes old, and it's still kind of finding its groove, but people are enjoying it, and I am just super excited that anyone listens at all.
Well, now I know how you got the reviews. I thought it was because it was good, but now I just found out it's because you whore yourself.
No, I pay people. So. I have to like send people checks.
Wow. So that's where my hard-earned Patreon money is going, which I have to mention. I'm a Patreon of this show. I guess I should have mentioned that before. Listeners warning.
It's so fantastic that you are one of the first supporters of the show, and I wasn't even gonna have a Patreon because I was like, what business do I have asking people for money for my show? And a certain legal counsel expert on this told me like, no, you're gonna drive yourself broke, and you work really hard on this show, and it's good, and people. You should feel like you're worth something for people to give you money. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah. I'm like,
yeah.
Well.
If you see some of these assholes and how much they make on Patreon, like the amazing asshole, Dave Rubin, people like that, and how much ridiculous money they make, yeah. I don't have any problem at all.
Wow. Well, it's just I was so blown over by the fact that you and my other, like a lot of my podcasting friends, Eric and Matthew from Odd Atheist Friends, and God, now I'm gonna be embarrassed because I'm gonna forget. I only have like 10 Patreons. So,
see, you already have 10. I only have like 5.
It's not even 10. It's probably more like 5 or 6 or 7. And then they're mostly people that like I knew before, and I emailed and I'm like, please support my show.
Oh, so you really did whore yourself. Wow.
I have had to do so many things, so many filthy things.
Is there a video? Okay.
That's for the patrons.
That's why, yeah, okay. You have to be the $10 level for that.
I set a goal because my legal counsel friend was like, you need to have goals. And I'm like, goals? And he's like, yeah, you got to have a Patreon goal. So I was like, well, how about I do, like, if I get to, 100 an episode or something, I'll actually eat a Jim Baker bucket, unlike certain people who have said that they will and haven't.
That's interesting.
Cricket,
I don't know if I could.
Cricket.
Who? Somebody has said they're going to eat a Jim Baker bucket?
Yeah.
Who?
I don't want to name names. This is Jersey. That I can't. It's like you can't name names.
Okay. Non-patrons, by the way. That's how many you have. So anyway, I got you. Your body might end up in, I don't know, wherever bodies end up there.
The Meadowlands, the same place where people take the train to watch, or supposedly watching the New Jersey Devils, and not
Newark. It's Newark is where they are.
Nobody likes to go to Newark. I actually live right next to Newark, and my car insurance is like the highest car insurance in the country because Newark has the highest carjacking rate in the country.
Yeah, Newark's pretty bad. That's where Cory, what's his name?
Booker.
The supposed savior of, anyway, don't get me started on him. But yeah, he was mayor there, I think, and it still sucks. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I mean, I go there for work and stuff. It's not. The whole place isn't horrible. A lot of it's decent, but like there is a lot of, especially when I did grand jury duty. I was like, I was retroactively horrified that I had even shown my face on the streets there, because apparently there's just drug kings all over the place.
Well, maybe you want some drugs. You never know.
I would like for marijuana to be legal, Mr. Christie.
Didn't he veto it? Of course he did.
He is such a piece of shit. Like he was talking, people are calling him out because he was like, oh, betting on football should be legal, but marijuana, we can't have that.
I can't stand him. I don't know why he gets, is he still governor? How?
We're about to have an election and hopefully throw him the fuck out. He's actually, I just read an article saying he's like the most unpopular governor in the country. He got in on kind of a fluke because the last guy before him was such a goddamn train wreck that that people just wanted that guy out at any cost. And Christie was able to sort of like, I was going to say slide his way in, but he doesn't slide into anything.
Oh, grease him up.
He had to be greased up in like some extra virgin olive oil. and
you'll get that reference if you listen to her show.
And yes, listen to Habeas Humor, because we're doing a crossover thing where Chris and I have already talked about voting rights and history of voting laws, and also what pigs should be greased with for greased pig catching contests. And Chris Christie, and it was still an extremely close election. It was just like in 2000 with Gore and Bush, where it's like we didn't even know that night who won.
Yeah, it's I don't think anybody has a problem calling him a piece of shit. I don't even think his own people who voted for him like him anymore. I wouldn't think. He's just he's a jerk. He's just like a conservative. He was he fucking attorney general of this state or something? Or he was like a federal prosecutor, U.S. attorney, or whatever the fuck it was. Yeah, he was a U.S. attorney. He only got in because he knew people.
Right.
I think W appointed him.
And he's from Mendham, which is in the northwestern part of this state, and is very, very close to Bedminster, which is apparently where Donald Trump has a golf club, from what I keep hearing. He's always over there, apparently. It's like, I used to live right by there. I used to work in that town, and I did not know Donald Trump had a golf club. I don't know if I ever saw him, but that's like, that's the asshole portion of New Jersey right there, the Bedminster, Mendham. Send your complaints to @HabeasHumor on Twitter.
I'll take all. I don't even give a shit that if I didn't say it. Give it to me, because I need some controversy, because my ratings suck.
We have to hashtag search up some shit about you to get fans.
Oh yeah, shit stirring for fans. Yeah, I just have to think of something. It'll take me a minute. You have to help me spread it though, since you're more popular. So
yeah. Anyway, you can say, like, I don't know. You can join the conspiracy theory that I don't exist. And that I was not at ReasonCon.
I think I'll do something along those lines. Oh, that's nice. We have thunder going.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
You got some
ominous.
Weather over
ominous. There. God didn't like that very much. Just kidding. There is no God.
You must have a gay neighbor.
Shit. Anyway. No, I have a Trump voting neighbor, which is surprising.
Oh, so do I. Oh, my God. There are these people on the corner of my street. They have this house that they've been doing all this work on. They must have money or something, or they're just trying to fancy up their house. But they had a Hillary for prison sign on their lawn all summer. No,
I would have accidentally knocked that down. No.
I was angry.
I would burn that Trump and effigy on their yard. That'd be fun. Anyway.
That would make me the liberal Ku Klux Klan. Then I would be exactly what Tommy Lahren thinks I am.
Oh, God, don't get me started on her. Anyway, okay, we're getting off subject. All right, so the reason you're on, other than the fact that you are a beautiful woman, and I love your voice. Yeah, you like that? See, that's what we Southerners do.
Oh, my God. I have to move to the South.
No. Great place to visit.
I have to hang out at the Walmart and meet me some men.
Oh, if you like teeth, you won't. But anyway. Okay, so we're going to talk about the ACLU and some of the many lawsuits they have filed for voting rights. What's the word I'm looking for? Violations. And, of course, the ACLU has been doing this forever anyway. I mean, they've been doing this as far back as, probably 2000 at least. I mean, they have always covered these sort of cases, but it seems like it's become more frequent in the last 20 years, I think, ever since W came into office.
Yeah.
So what's the ACLU doing to try to? First of all, what are some of the laws that they're trying to combat or whatever?
Well, the American Civil Liberties Union has a project that they call the Voting Rights Project, and it's project to secure and protect voting rights in America. And if you go over and listen to episode 13 of my show, Habeas Humor, I will talk about all the voting rights history in the U.S. and the issues with voting rights that we are currently facing under the Trump administration. And you are appearing on that episode to discuss some of that stuff with me. And it is available on iTunes, Stitcher, and Libsyn on Wednesday.
Okay, you'll get a chance later.
June 21st. I just wanted to make sure that we mentioned that so that your audience knows to go over to that show for the background. So yeah, ACLU. What is it? Is it cool or is it whack?
Is what?
I was doing cut that out. It's an Awful Ali G reference.
Oh, no. Nothing gets cut.
Is it? What is it? Anyway,
if you're going to do it in the right accent.
I can't. I try to do English accents and I can't. And I want to because I would love to go live there. And I feel like if I don't have the accent, I won't be. They won't accept me.
Whatever. Anyway.
And I literally the only thing I would do worse than English accent is like Southern accent. I can't do it.
You can. You just don't want to.
No, I just like I can usually pick them out. Like I could usually pick out a Tennessee accent. My friend Joy is from there, and I guessed it right. I was like, "Are you from Tennessee?" She's like, "Yeah." So I can usually tell like a Tennessee from a Georgia, from a Texas, but I can't do them like I could do a little bit Georgia. Like I had a friend in.
Didn't you take training for this kind of shit? Isn't this what you're supposed to be able to do?
Accents? That was not a class in law school.
Not law school. That other thing you did.
Improv?
Yeah, the improv stuff.
In improv, it's more like in improv, you're encouraged to just do accents badly because it's usually more funny.
Well, that's better than nothing.
And I'll try to do it, and I'll just be like, "Oh, it's my Southern character." You know, I do like the Southern, like the Southern lawyer, whatever. It'll be, "Well, I might be just a simple country lawyer."
That was very good.
Try to do Matlock or whatever.
Oh, Lord, don't get me started on that. My grandparents blasted that show every time I went over there.
Wow, they like
24/7 Matlock. Anyway.
Matlock and Diagnosis Murder.
Diagnosis, cancel this damn show.
Only when the last viewer has died. So ACLU, voting rights, what is it? So if you go to the ACLU website, which is kind of where I'm just plagiarizing everything from, there apparently was something called the Notorious Prosecution of the Scottsboro Boys in the 1930s. And that
yes.
That is apparently where the ACLU started becoming intensely involved in the civil rights. And they have won some precedent-setting cases, mostly for some reason, the South. I don't know what it is with the South and the civil rights.
I can't imagine.
But that area seems to have conflicts. So they have secured the principle of one person, one vote, although you could argue that doesn't exist with the Electoral College.
Yeah, exactly.
We're working on that. Establish the right of women to serve on juries, because who wants that?
Really?
Outlawed racial discrimination in jury pools, like the famous Badston case, which I'm sure they've discussed on opening arguments, where you can't exclude people from the jury just because of their race. The ACLU ended racial segregation in prisons and jails, discriminatory practices such as at-large elections, and disenfranchisement of individuals convicted of misdemeanors. Because apparently it was a thing not just for felonies, but for misdemeanors. You couldn't vote. So that's some bullshit.
That sucks. Misdemeanors too? Wow. That doesn't surprise me, though.
Apparently, I don't know. You know, every state has their thing.
Yeah, every state kind of does its own thing. It's state by state, which is something I looked up.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Did you know there's not an explicit right to vote in the Constitution?
No, women would have it. I mean, we had, the Civil War Reconstruction Amendments, 13th, 14th, 15th.
Yeah, the amendments, but I meant the original, as it was originally written. There wasn't.
No, and we'll go into that on episode 13 of Habeas Humor, which will air on Wednesday.
Oh.
Because, back when the
Wait a minute. It aired Wednesday.
Yes, because we're talking in the future.
So you can't say it will air Wednesday. It already did.
Barring unforeseen alien invasions.
Well, yeah, or whatever. Or Trump finally hits the button.
Oh, my God.
Anyway, on that cheery note, go ahead.
So, what?
Go on.
Go on. So the ACLU Voting Rights Project, they established this in 1965 and worked to protect the gains in political participation won by racial and language minorities since the passage of the 1965 Voting Rights Act, that thing that the Supreme Court decided wasn't so important anymore. We don't need it. Apparently the ACLU thinks we do need it.
Yeah, I know. Funny how that works.
In 2012, the ACLU represented parties in 2 voting rights cases in the United States Supreme Court. They represented the plaintiffs in Arizona versus Intertribal Council of Arizona, which challenged Arizona's imposition of a proof of citizenship requirement for voter registration. Because not only do you need an ID, but you need like a fucking proof. I guess you need to like produce a video of yourself being born in like a hospital.
Yeah, really.
And they intervened in a case. Like if someone else files a lawsuit, and you're like, I want to be in that lawsuit, you can intervene if you meet certain requirements. If you have a stake in it, if you have standing. There was a case of Shelby County versus Holder, where that defended the constitutionality of Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act, and we'll get to that on the Habeas Humor. They also blocked the implementation of voter ID laws in Texas and South Carolina and Pennsylvania, and reductions to the early voting period in 5 Florida counties in Florida. And you mentioned this on my show, early voting period. I have honestly never heard of it. I need to Google it because I have never heard of an early voting period. I'm Googling that shit right now because I don't believe it exists here. And if it does, no one fucking knows about it.
If you exist, then that exists.
If I exist.
Well, I mean, I didn't see you. That's all I'm saying.
So in my home state of California, there's something called electionsmytimetovote.com. California permits online voter registration, early voting, and no excuse absentee voting. I know they had absentee voting. What about New Jersey? Because I would love to fucking not have to go. I want to do an absentee ballot. Because I don't want to go to that place that doesn't have any parking.
God.
I mean, I could walk. It's like 3 blocks from my house.
Oh, my God.
I'm busy. I have places to go, people to see. New Jersey prohibits electioneering, influencing voters. Voting in New Jersey. We can vote absentee. New Jersey permits early voting. Where? I have never heard of this. This is very important, audience. Apparently there is something called early voting. I had no idea it existed.
Oh, my God. You're supposed to be a good citizen up and all this. How do you not know this stuff?
When does my state start early voting? NPR has a website. Okay, so wait, all right. There, you have to have an excuse, apparently. So they've got a map on the NPR website. In 34 states and the District of Columbia, voters can vote early in person without an excuse.
Okay, that's fucked up.
Okay, California is such a state. Tennessee is such a state. New Jersey is not such a state. So, yeah, thank you. I'm not an idiot. In Alaska, you could do it. Like, I don't know where you have to go to vote in Alaska. You gotta take sled dogs and shit.
I was gonna say. Smoke signals and shit.
Texas, Florida, Georgia. So all the dark green states on the map, you can vote early with no excuse. In other states, you can use an absentee ballot, and my current state of New Jersey is one of those states. So I can get an absentee ballot. I never have bothered, but I think because I've always been kind of like worried it wouldn't be counted. I remember like in the 2000 election, there were all these stacks of absentee ballots and shit. Like people had sent in from military and from overseas, and like they never even fucking got counted. It looked like.
Well, because only if it makes a difference.
Shit. So in New Jersey, I can vote by absentee ballot, I guess, if I don't want to walk the 3 blocks.
No, if you don't walk the 3 blocks, I'm going to come up there and walk the 3 blocks.
Says the guy with the social anxiety that keeps him from going to plays.
Just for that. Just because I care that much that you vote.
Okay.
That's how much I care.
That should be for the next election when we want everybody to get out and vote. That should be the thing. Get off your lazy ass. Go walk to your place or something. We'll have to come up with a slogan. We'll have to work on that. That's the first draft of it. But there are states that don't have absentee ballots or early voting. Washington, Oregon, Colorado, Missouri, Kentucky, Michigan, Mississippi, Alabama, South Carolina, Virginia, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Hampshire.
That's odd.
with no excuse absentee ballot. Then there's statewide vote by mail. 3 states conduct their elections by mail: Colorado, Oregon, and Washington. And provide the ways to... So they don't even have the places, I guess. It's like by mail, and then they provide ways to submit your ballot in person, where you probably have to drive to like the state capitol or something.
That's strange. It's really strange.
Some states require voters to have a qualifying excuse for why they cannot vote in person on election day. Those are exclusively located, apparently on this side of the Continental Divide. You've got it's all the eastern states except for New Jersey, Maryland, D.C., Maine, Vermont, Ohio, North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. So in those states, you have to have an excuse to vote absentee. Wait, no excuse. No, yeah, you have. Wait, no. Whatever I just said.
Well, who knows what you just said? I'm confused.
I feel really bad because I feel like I'm not doing a good job on your show, and I haven't been drinking, but I sound like I have, and I think it is because I only had 1 cup of coffee. Because again, I'm lazy. Excuse required. An excuse is required in New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New York, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Virginia, South Carolina, Michigan, Indiana, West Virginia, because of course that state is a shithole. Send your complaints to @Habeas Humor on Twitter. I have never heard of a single good thing ever happening in West Virginia.
Well, I know some people there, so.
I have only heard of the most horrible things, like the Hatfields and the McCoys, and then like those all those cases where people were wrongfully convicted of murder and shit because the serology lab didn't know what the fuck it was doing, and
they poisoned an entire river.
Oh,
basically.
Yeah. So, and then there's other states that require you to have an excuse. So, including Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, the shitty states. The states that you were telling me on my show are the most... Your state, Tennessee, requires an excuse to do absentee ballot voting by mail. But apparently you can do early. I don't know how this early thing works. We don't have it here in New Jersey.
Well, I mean, they have the Google machine that you can look stuff up, so that's all I'm saying.
That's how I found this map on the NPR.
Exactly.
But I didn't even know to Google it. You have to know what you don't know in order to find it on Google.
That's true.
Yeah. What?
I was just going to say, I think as far as the Civil Rights Act, I think it's kind of important that somebody does anyway. When they struck down that part of the Civil Rights Act, it was basically the one saying that states who had a history of, not just states, I think it was also counties too, precincts that have a history of disenfranchising voters had to get pre-clearance in order to enact any new laws, voting restriction laws. And as soon as that got struck down, everybody and their grandmother was filing new voting restriction laws.
Yep.
And that's not coincidence. Texas being one of them, I remember that. So basically, they can institute a law that just for one election to screw everything up, and then after the fact, the feds will get them. So that's just insidious to me. Yes,
and the ACLU, you can go on their website and find all the cases, and there's a ton of them. Let's see. Oh no, now I'm on their site about it's not just voting. Get off this page. Yeah, all their civil liberty cases, they have them. The ACLU is great. And by the way, I had meant to say to the audience, please give money to the ACLU. Like, they're all we have right now. Like you were just saying, Chris, all these shitty laws that come out. If it wasn't for the ACLU and the SPLC and those kinds of Lambda Legal and those kinds of organizations, we would never be able to overturn those laws, because lawyers who need to get paid by clients can't do that. It has to be civil liberties groups that get public donations that allow them to both eat and file these cases at the same time.
Yeah, I'm actually a member of the ACLU. So.
Yeah, me too. So everybody, please give the ACLU something, a couple dollars. Wisconsin apparently has one of the harshest voter ID laws in the country. They have to produce certain specified kinds of IDs, and a lot of them cannot easily obtain. and the ACLU states that this violates the 14th Amendment. And also Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, which prohibits the use of voting practices that have a negative impact on racial and language minorities. And the law has a disproportionate impact on Black and Latino voters, which is, the 14th Amendment says that no state shall deprive anybody of equal protection of the laws. So that is, if something has a disproportionate impact, then it does. It deprives people of equal protection. And it says that those voters, Black and Latino, are twice as likely to not have the right kind of ID to vote in Wisconsin. So the ACLU filed a federal lawsuit in Wisconsin in December of 2011, challenging the ID law. And it took until April of 2014 to get the trial court, the first court they went to rule that the law was unconstitutional. They had to litigate this for all those years, which again costs, this is why lawyers who just have jobs like myself can't be doing that, because we can't be going for years doing this case that, we would have no chance of getting paid for it. It struck down the court struck down the Wisconsin voter ID law, and then of course it went on appeal. And so the Seventh Circuit reversed that ruling. But the ACLU says they successfully blocked the law from taking effect for the November 2014 midterms and the 2015 April primary. And apparently they're still working on it because, they lost the case on appeal. And they're trying to help people be able to get the IDs and obtain obtain the identifications to vote if they can file affidavits or something. So that's something that's ongoing in Wisconsin that the ACLU is fighting for. And where was the one that the director of the ACLU Voting Rights Project, that's an attorney named Dale Ho, and he's got all kinds of stuff on their website. So last month, May 15th, the Supreme Court announced that it would not review a North Carolina law that, if it was enacted, would have deprived thousands of Americans of their right to vote. Let's see. So North Carolina had enacted a law that had a voter ID requirement, and it maintained a 17-day early voting period, which was disproportionately used by Black voters. So the state was trying to cut that period and just make it 10 days, which, that there were 900,000 ballots in that 10 days. So that would have, in theory, disenfranchised Black voters there. And I think they wanted to take out same-day registration, which I know they don't have in my home state of California. So
yeah, they don't have many places anymore that I know of. Right.
So it looks like the Supreme Court has pretty much stomped out that North Carolina law. So that was awesome. And that was a month ago. Again, give money to the ACLU. Let's see if there's anything else that's like super recent, super up to the minute. Oh, they are, the ACLU is looking for information related to the Trump Commission, which is something, again, that the Trump Election Commission, and the Trump Election Commission is something I'm covering on my show. And so the ACLU last May the 18th, sent some Freedom of Information Act requests to Kansas, Indiana, New Hampshire, Maine, and the United States Election Assistance Commission, looking for information on the Trump has this new Presidential Commission on Election Integrity, because he has been convinced, he either thinks or his people have convinced him that voter fraud is this huge problem, which, again, we talked about on my show. And the commission is headed by Vice President Pence and Kansas Secretary of State Chris Kobach, whom I talked about extensively on my show. And the ACLU has sued him a ton of times. He's crazy. He's absolutely crazy. So they're trying to find out at the ACLU, like, what the fuck is going on. And do they have any evidence of voter fraud? Or is it a myth that has been debunked, like most credible studies seem to believe? So that's pretty much what's going on at the ACLU. Give them money. And did you have any other questions about the voting issues?
Well, I just know that some of the issues that I've heard, now I know this is not directly related. I mean, it sort of is, but it's kind of tangential as far as redistricting and gerrymandering.
Oh, yeah.
And that the bizarre way they try to draw these districts just to make sure that they give the advantage to Republicans. And they're not even, if you look at these maps, they're just crazy. I mean, they make no logical sense a lot of times. And it's just basically to ensure that Republicans get the advantage, which is what they've done. And it's worked. There was I forgot the name, there was a project that they actively did for the 2000 census, I think, or was it 2010, where they were trying to get redistricting done in the states that would make sure there was a Republican majority perpetually, basically. And I forgot the name of the project, but it was a real thing. I forgot who was headed up by, but the Republicans seem to be good at that kind of thing. They seem to be good at planning these things out and getting to the local races.
They are, but the only reason that the Republicans are able to do the gerrymandering is because the Democrats also do it. The laws have been in place to allow for it since before the Republicans had so much power in the federal government, in all the branches of the government. So, and I was looking for the episodes of Opening Arguments, because Opening Arguments went in depth into that. And Andrew's kind of big platform in this is that it's not so much, when we talk about what's wrong with our government, it's not really about term limits. He doesn't think that term limits in Congress are going to really accomplish anything. He thinks that gerrymandering, which was the topic of episode 54 that they did on March 23rd, gerrymandering the congressional districts is one of the big problems. And then, of course, money, campaign finance, the other big problem. And they go into the recent cases about gerrymandering the states into congressional districts to maximize the number of safe seats for any one political party. And I'm trying to see if they ever talked about it on anything else. I mean, that was pretty recently. That was in March. But yeah, gerrymandering and campaign finance reform are huge issues. And, and then the problem is that both Democrats and Republicans benefit. So it's not like you have one party trying to change and the other party not. They both benefit from it at different times.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And I guess I should have said that we needed some sort of independent commission that determines districts. I don't know how that's going to work.
Well, the Congress, that's the thing. It's like everything is the Congress. So the only way you can fire a Congress member is they can only be fired by Congress.
So we have to get Congress to do something that's going to be against their own interests.
Yep.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. And, while they're at it, they can, maybe cut their own health care and salaries to leave some for the rest of us.
Oh, that'll work. Yeah. Or how about give corporate subsidies that they don't actually fucking need?
Oh, don't get me started on, oh my God. Yeah, the whole, I mean, it's really not done much better than like when John Oliver and Samantha Bee do that stuff on their shows. They really go into everything and talk about how, and Bill Maher too. And I'm still a big Bill Maher fan despite his problems. And I think those people work tirelessly to do what I would like to become good at doing, but I'm very new at it, which is like to be entertaining and to pull back the curtain on all the bullshit about how, people are hating the underprivileged instead of the overprivileged. And we think, people popularly have this perception that welfare is something that the poor get when it's really something that the rich get, and that they skate on taxes in a million different ways. And it's just ridiculous, and people should be outraged.
Well, they're the job makers, so
right. The job makers for India and Singapore and, wherever they can pay people shitty wages.
Basically, yeah. So again, that's a whole different subject.
Right.
So the ACLU does a good job and does an invaluable job, I would say, about trying to challenge these voter cases. I mean, who the hell else is going to do it if they didn't do it?
Right.
If you really think about it.
They wouldn't. And, they, all these fucking crazy laws that are coming out. Voting, it's on everything now. It's on voting. It's on anti-LGBT. It's on things that allow, people, like they were talking about on one or two Scathing Atheists ago about, like how everyone was outraged when that guy died in the Pakistan hospital because it was Ramadan and they didn't want to touch him. But like we have the laws in this country that states are enacting that say people who have a sincerely held religious belief or whatever, I can't treat this gay person, I can't treat this trans person, I can't treat this whore who's had birth control or whatever, who wants an abortion, who needs this procedure to save her life or whatever. People can refuse care, and that's just, and we just had these marches against Sharia a week ago, which I covered on episode 12. And it's just ironic because we just have all the same sectarian bullshit in this country and all these stupid
the hypocrisy is stunning. Really.
Oh yeah.
I mean, people just don't understand.
Yep. I don't. I mean, yeah. And then we're like, well, let's have better education. Let's go ask Betsy DeVos about that.
Well, the education's done state by state. I mean, the feds can offer incentives or, take money away from the states if they don't do what they want. But in the end, it's the state's call. So that's part of the problem, I think.
Right. And it's one reason why I think it was my show that you and I talked about this a little bit, just kind of as a joke. But it's true. The California public school system is broke because in California in the 70s, the voters voted to cap property taxes. So they get a great deal on property taxes, but the schools are like literally bankrupt, a lot of them. And if you want money from the federal government, you got to teach abstinence-only education.
God almighty. Whew.
So we're fucked, and I'm going to move to Europe. Is kind of the plan.
If they let us in.
If they let us in, yeah. And that's another thing. People are saying, if you don't like this country, get out. And it's like, I don't necessarily have an option.
I mean, I'm waiting for Canada to build a wall to keep us
right.
It wouldn't be surprising.
Us and our real football.
Yeah, really. So, what are some victories recently that the ACLU have had?
They have, in various cases, they have, the 2016 term. You can go to their website where they have, just a list of everything. One of their big things they're doing right now is the bathroom policies. They filed a lawsuit in Virginia against the Gloucester County School Board. That was the case with that student Gavin Grimm. He's kind of famous.
Oh yeah.
Because the school district had adopted a bathroom policy that says, you have to. I guess it says if you're a trans student, you can't use the regular bathrooms, and they have to use alternative private restroom facilities, which is probably a fucking hole in the ground, a mile away or something.
Yeah. Something ridiculous.
You gotta go to the alternate bathroom. So the ACLU filed that case and alleged that the bathroom policy is unconstitutional under the 14th Amendment and violates Title IX of the U.S. Education Amendments of 1972. That's the thing that prohibits the sex discrimination in schools. So Title IX has been invoked a lot for these trans cases. It used to be, and it still is, a very important thing for school sports and stuff. That was used to get to allow girls to play sports. That was an issue, for a long time. So there's that one, and the latest update is that the case went to the U.S. Supreme Court, and then the Supreme Court sent it back to the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals. Just in light of it says in light of the Departments of Justice and Education rescinding, they had issued some kind of memo or some guidance of Title IX clarifying protections for transgender students, and then they rescinded it, which sounds, now I don't want to go off half-cocked, but what that sounds like is that DeVos and her people withdrew something that the Department of Education had previously said about how, let's see, if you want me to Google it, I will, because it's probably important.
That's fun.
Let's see. I actually, that was a little detail that I had not been up on. No. So, let me see. What did the Department of Education... Because the last time I had researched these Title IX cases, I had found that the Title IX was not really holding up as a good argument in court for bathroom equality, and that it was the 14th Amendment was doing better. But let me see what they say about Title IX guidance. So there's this thing on fine law that kind of goes into the whole Title IX. Like in 1972, President Nixon signed into law the amendments to the Higher Education Act of 1965. That's what Title IX is a part of. When people say Title IX, they mean the 1972 amendments to the Higher Education Act of 1965. Prohibits sex discrimination in any federally funded education program or activity. And yeah, although many people recognize Title IX for its impact on high school and collegiate sports, the law is broad and covers much more than athletics. A recent issue involving Title IX concerns its application to transgender students. In 2013, the U.S. Department of Education began to weigh in on the issue, and in 2014, the department issued guidelines asserting that transgender students are protected from gender discrimination under Title IX, which is backed by a 2016 statement by the Justice Department. In 2017, however, under Trump and DeVos, they issued a new set of guidelines. So exactly what I thought it was. Effectively withdrawing the Obama-era protections that allowed transgender students to use the bathrooms and the locker rooms that correspond with their gender identity.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah. It was basically, it didn't have the force of law, but it was like a recommendation or something like that.
Yeah, because they're an administrative agency, so they can't make the law, and they can't necessarily interpret the law, but they can issue guidelines, and they can say, like, well, this is how we, like the IRS does that thing all the time. They'll issue opinions, because people will ask the questions, like, what about this issue of tax law? What about that issue of tax law? And they'll say, like, well, this is how we see it. This is how we're going to do it when you file a return with this thing. So, they'll issue guidelines that can be, there can be changes. Congress can change the law, or, the Supreme Court can maybe find it unconstitutional, but, because those respective branches of government have their own functions, they can't just override each other. So in light of the statements from the Secretary of Education, now that's changing what the way the U.S. Supreme Court and the way all the courts are dealing with these cases. So the Secretary of Education issued the statement on February 22nd that she says, we have a responsibility to protect every student in America and ensure that they have the freedom to learn and thrive in a safe and trusted environment. This is not merely a federal mandate, but a moral obligation. No individual school district or state can abdicate at my direction. The Department's Office for Civil Rights remains committed to investigating all claims of discrimination, bullying, and harassment against those who are the most vulnerable in our schools. I think she means white people.
Yeah.
White Christians, that persecuted minority, the long-suffering persecuted minority of white Christians in America.
Exactly.
The guidance issued by the previous administration has given rise to several legal questions. I was looking really close to see if the word black was in there, like the black guidance issued by the previous black administration. The Muslim guidance issued by the previous black administration has given rise to several legal questions. As a result, a federal court in August 2016 issued a nationwide injunction barring the department from enforcing a portion of its applications. Since that time, the department has not enforced that part of the guidance. Thus, there's no immediate impact to students by rescinding this guidance. This is an issue best solved by the state and local level. Again, the state and local level, schools should do what they want. Parents should do what they want. Everyone should choose their own school. They should be able to, if the parents think that their kids should go to a school that's religious or segregated or whatever, they're the best ones to know. I'm mixing issues, but, we all know what's going on.
Yeah, it's the same kind of shit, really.
So, again, as specific as they get here are things that discrimination, bullying, and harassment. There's nothing about... she does say, I consider protecting all students, including LGBTQ students, not only a key priority for the department, but for every school in America. But they should probably be protected by, having their own school. That's probably what she thinks. That's not in there, but I'm sure that's what she thinks.
That worked well. Yeah, separation.
Exactly.
Yeah. Equal but separate, yeah.
Just like Neapolitan ice cream.
Yeah, what is up with Neapolitan ice cream? Does anybody actually eat all three at once? I don't know.
My position is that you're segregationist if you separate the flavors, because there was actually a video that I put up on Facebook, because on the President show, it wasn't the President show, it was before the President show, but it was Anthony Atamanuik doing a sketch where he's like Trump going into ice cream store and being like, yeah, the Neapolitan is separate but equal. I like that. So if you don't scoop all the 3 flavors across, you're just being segregationist.
You're right. I feel horrible now. Thanks, Charone. Appreciate that.
You're welcome. I'm glad I was able to settle this once and for all.
My power went out, and so I kind of messed things up. But that's okay.
I hate power going out. I'm knock on wood, haven't had a serious problem with that since Hurricane Sandy.
Anyway, Charone, thanks for coming on, even though it was kind of weird there at the end.
Yeah, no, it was my pleasure. This is a really fun show, and I hope your audience enjoyed it, and I hope they come to listen to you on my show.
Well, I mean...
And give money to the ACLU.
Yeah,
for God's sake.
Give it to them. I don't give a shit. I mean, I can't speak for her. She might be money grubbing, but I personally...
I'm a money grubbing Jew.
I know, man, that was horrible for me to say, wasn't it? Okay.
I'm always new. I got my alter ego, Andrew, was listening to my episode with Bryce Blankenagel from Naked Mormonism, where we were talking all this shit about the Mormons and Jews. He was like, you guys are so racist.
Yeah. I listened to that episode. Yeah, y'all were super racist.
We are so racist.
My SJW heart just was shrinking. I forgot to mention that win is a strange word to use, but your little contest where you, what was it, the name of your cult, if you had a cult? Or
oh, yeah, the audience participation. Audience participation.
Yeah, you have to sing it because you... Go ahead.
It's really fun.
Yeah, you have to, because that's part of the show too, is doing the singing thing.
Yeah. all my little things, yeah.
Well, sorry, I didn't mean to, belittle it. I just couldn't think of a better word.
No, that was what I call them, my little things.
Oh, yeah.
Those and my breasts.
Tell me too. Yeah.
No, actually, I have larger breasts than I would like to have. I can't call them my little things. I wish I could.
Well.
If someone wants breast donations, hit me up.
Well, too bad you can't transplant that into my penis. But anyway, moving on. So, yeah, it was Chris's House O' Heresy.
House O' Heresy, where I presume they serve pancakes and waffles.
Yep, and actually, I'll be going to an IHOP next weekend.
Oh.
Before the Pride celebrations here in Nashville.
All right.
So we planned that out. Some friends of mine are going to go have some pancakes, some gay pancakes, and some gay waffles. Lots of pink, lots of glitter. So should be fun.
They should make the pink No, I guess it has to be rainbow pancakes. They have rainbow bagels.
Rainbow. Don't know why I didn't say that. Rainbow's what I meant. Sorry.
Yeah, I was thinking pink, like Women's March or Breast Cancer March. Yeah. All that vagina-colored stuff that we do.
Yeah, fucking vaginas. Trying to rule the world, take men's place, and trying to make us effeminate and emasculate us. God damn it. Fucking take the red pill or whatever the fuck they call it. I don't even know.
If I've started seeing that and I don't know what it means.
It's MRA bullshit. Men's rights.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a bunch of shit. Don't pay any attention to it. Anyway, so why don't you tell everybody where they can find your delicious show? Delicious.
It's delicious.
I meant delightful. You had me thinking about pancakes. That's what it was.
I think I might have to change it to the Delicious Podcast, Habeas Humor. Where? Okay. We are on iTunes, and I'll send the links. I'm on Libsyn, iTunes, and Stitcher, and Facebook, and Twitter, and I have the links, and it's the only show called Habeas Humor, so it's pretty easy to find via Google or Facebook, but I'll be happy to send the links, and it's at Habeas Humor on Twitter. Again, send any of your complaints. I just field complaints. It takes up the time.
Yeah, and you just said we, so that makes me think...
I use the royal we when it comes to my show.
Maybe Andrew is there, and you just don't want to tell anybody.
Oh, no. Maybe maybe it is Fight Club, and I don't know that I am really a dual personality. Yeah.
And you just ruined it for anybody who hasn't seen Fight Club, by the way.
Spoiler.
Yeah. Post-spoiler alert. Good job.
Well, that's why they have rule number 1 and rule number 2.
I don't remember what rule number 2 is.
That you don't talk about Fight Club.
I thought that was rule number 1.
It's rule number 1 and rule number 2. Spoiler!
Okay, it's been a long time.
It's been a long time since I saw that shit too. It was all right. It's good. It's like, Ed Norton and Brad Pitt and what's her face, Helena Bonham Carter, fucking weird woman.
She's a
fucking
bit
Bellatrix Lestrange. So yeah, she wasn't as good as Angela Lansbury and Sweeney Todd. No one is.
Okay, I've never seen either version.
So yeah. Oh, Victor Garber. Don't get me started. That's got to be like one of my favorite. I keep thinking about when Thomas Smith and Aaron, was it Aaron from Embrace the Void, where they're debating about Hamilton, and it was really kind of silly because it's like one person likes this kind of music and the other one likes that kind of music, and they're talking about like which is better, and it was kind of silly. But anyway.
Okay.
Sondheim. Sondheim. We are so far. I hope you edit all this out because this is awful. This is awful.
Oh, no.
So yeah, thank you so much for having me on the show. And thank you for being on my show.
I had a lot of fun, actually, even though some things happened. Technical difficulties happened and rambling happened, but that's part of the fun of it to me. So
it's the man trying to shut us down.
That's right. You got it, girl. I mean, woman. Sorry. That still doesn't sound right, does it? Anyway, okay. So, yeah. So, hopefully we'll get to talk again, and I really appreciate you coming on, and I love your show, obviously.
Thank you.
All right, Charone, well, take care of yourself. That'll do it for this episode of the Podunk Polymath Podcast. I want to thank Charone Frankel from Habeas Humor for coming on and talking to me. It was informative and fun at the same time. Of course, if you want to check out my show, you can come to the podunkpolymath.com. Of course, the music is done by ... You can check out their music at cdbaby.com/cd/... Of course, you can check out the show on Twitter, Google+, YouTube, Facebook under Podunk Polymath. Of course, you can go to Patreon and become part of the posse. Patreon.com/the Podunk Polymath. There's a call-in number, 615-378-POPO-7676. Leave me a message if you're so inclined. You can join the Podunk Polymath Podcast Posse Facebook group, facebook.com/group/the Podunk Polymath Podcast Posse. All those words are separated by periods. And of course, there's an online store now, zazzle.com/podunk_polymath. If you go to the sidebar of the page, you'll see that you can follow me on WordPress. You can see my tweets and follow me on Twitter. Donate via PayPal. Subscribe on RSS, Google Play, iTunes, and Stitcher. There's a Patreon button, recent posts, and recent comments. Also, if you like the show, please make sure to go to iTunes and rate it and leave a review if you're so inclined. Also, you can do so in Stitcher, wherever you listen to it, but reviews are always good, and I appreciate them greatly. And again, I wanted to mention about Pride. I was really happy to go, and I think it's great that these things happen, and even in Nashville, which is sort of a progressive place in the South. And it was something I'll never forget, not just because of the heat stroke, but because there was so many people, a lot of fun, a lot of just acceptance. It was great, and I was glad to be a part of it. Anyway, until next time, y'all take it easy now, okay?